Jimmy's always been the one who gets her involved in con jobs and game. In season 5, he sees this look in her eye that it's her who's going to lead the way.
Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere. As we await for episode 3 of Better Call Saul season 6, we have an interview with Bob where he's talking about Kim going against Howard, how the show ends, just hinting, as well as a cast member providing more details, which we saw in the beginning of the video. Here are some of the things that was in that interview. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in the link in the description. You want to go ahead and check it out, but I will go ahead and talk about the most important things from that interview. So the question was, this is the first season in the show's history that we don't open in black and white with our friend Gene. Should we hold out hope that we will see Gene again? Or are you going to see Gene again? Everything the writers start in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, they take somewhere. Nothing just disappears. And the character of Gene and what happened in his life after Breaking Bad is going to be explored. But I will say that probably the thing that is most curious that I cannot wait to see is the story of Kim and what happens to her. I cannot wait for that either. Speaking of Kim, she created this big plot against Howard, and while Jimmy is trying to be supportive, it's clear he's less enthused and maybe even a little worried about why she wants this so much. How would you describe Jimmy's feelings at this point? He says there's so much going on inside Jimmy at the beginning of the season, 6th season, but you have to remember what happened at the end of season 5 when he was in the desert with Mike. It really shook him to his core. So there's a lot of uncertainty he feels at Kim's suggestion of a plot against Howard. He's not sure if that's because he thinks the plan are, or if his confidence is so shaken from his traumatic time in the desert that he's just not going to be able to put it off. So he has to do something to prove to himself that he can live again, be himself again, come out of that desert and that PTSD, and there's so much going on inside him. He looks at Kim, he's not sure what's inspiring her, but maybe he's just doubting himself. Maybe it has nothing to do with her. Maybe she's completely fine because she did not go in the desert, get chased by somebody, and get shot at, and drink her own urine. And that's why I say she's the mystery of the season. He doesn't quite know what's driving her, what she's after. He knows that they both enjoy pulling this prank and scams, but right at this moment, he's so off balance at the beginning of season 6 that he's just trying to refine his feet. He's doing these things because he loves her, and because they have fun together. And maybe, if he does this stuff, he will feel normal again.
A lot of people die.
In addition to the PTSD of the incident in the desert, the threat of Lalo is still out there as well. How much is that weight on him? He's afraid of Lalo, absolutely. For him, Lalo is like the specter out there. He never believed Lalo is dead. Even if he goes to the funeral, Lalo is like this creature that's just going to always be hovering in the background. A shadow of fear. Oh, I love that. He mentioned that Jimmy's hoping that playing out these cons will help him get some of his confidence back. Do you think that happens for him in episode 1 when he goes to the golf club, especially when he pushes through despite Kim's warning to abort? He does get off on that little fun game in the first episode. I mean, he thinks this little pain is working. I'll just go along with this and I'll refine my balance. In that moment, it feels pretty good. He absolutely feels like he has to push through or he won't be himself ever again. But no, I think it's still pretty rough.
There are multiple men that seem to tell Kim what she should and should not do.
And that perhaps continues in episode 2 with the Kettlemans, where Jimmy cannot quite put them in their place. There's no question he's going through a process of trying to find his mojo. He wants to participate in the scams and he wants to wrestle with the Kettlemans, but he doesn't have the spine yet. He relates the Kettlemans to this time of innocence when he thinks of scamming them before, but I think part of him is struggling to dig in here. So he's taking his cues from Kim. She's got the blank, is a bad word, and she's also very into this. So she's leading now. Now, a big question that I just want to go ahead and talk about is, as we know, Walt and Jesse from Breaking Bad are going to make an appearance of some sort in this final season, and this is what he had to say. This is an amazing situation that we have Walt and Jesse back. Now I do think it was to be expected. I think it would have been a mistake not to have them traipse through our frame at some point, and I think everyone knows that. I'm glad that they're back, and I'm glad that people know, and everyone can just take a breath and exhale and look for them because no one knows of when and where and how much they will show up. So there's still a lot to be surprised by. What I think is absolutely true that when you see them, some part of you is going to want to watch Breaking Bad again and see how the various scenes fit together. It's really going to be fun. It's something I know I'm going to do. Oh. So the last thing that he has to say, of course, is you have a final word or thought for the fans who supported and love this show and he said the following: I would just like to say to everybody, thank you for giving us a chance. A lot of times when your favorite shows are rebooted, reused, put somewhere else, that love that you have for that thing can feel like it's being used and abused and taken advantage of. Of course, Vince Gilligan and Gould would never have done that, but still can feel that way. It was an amazing experience that first season to see people just have an open mind to watch the show and see what we have to offer. And I will never stop being thankful for that opportunity. And I will say one of the reasons is because Breaking Bad ended before people were tired of it or kind of exhausted by it. Most shows last a little too long, and Breaking Bad did not. I think that helped us an awful lot. If Breaking Bad went to more seasons, I think we could have done this opportunity because I think people would have been like, yeah, we have more than our fill of it. But that was not the case at all. People were very hungry for more. Gould told The Hollywood Reporter in an interview following the season premiere of Better Call Saul that he promised some huge surprises in store for the show's 6th season, some even bigger than Walt and Jesse returns. Vince Gilligan and I talk about it, and I think we both thought that we've been cagey for long enough. Don't forget that Aaron and Brian also have to keep it under this lid, and everybody asked them about them, and everybody asked them about it. I just feel like the right moment to let the cat out of the bag, because for better or for worse, I have to say that there's so many surprises and left turns this season that I kinda wanted to take the one off the table. In the past, we could have said we're hoping to this someday, and usually we say not this season. I couldn't lie. If somebody asks if they're gonna show up this season, I don't know. It seems pretty to lie about it. But I have to say, I thought that was the biggest surprise or the biggest spoiler. I probably would not have said it. I probably wouldn't have said it. Now, two last things I want to go ahead and discuss is the first one that in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Vince explained that the beginning of the opening flash forward scene, which shows Saul Goodman home for the first time, is starting with how we reference Sunset Boulevard and Citizens Kane. He explained the meaning behind the Sapphire Stopper, and now he suggests that Jimmy has retained his humanity even when he fully transformed into Saul Goodman and begins working with Walter White. Read his explanation below. It's a little bit Sunset Boulevard and it's a little bit Citizen Kane. We always wondered what was like Saul's life outside the office. At some points we thought maybe he just took the Saul Goodman disguise off at the end of the day. He goes home and puts on a black turtleneck and cooks himself some organic food and sits down to a family dinner. Who knows? I think that what this teaser tells you is that this guy lives at Saul Goodman 24/7, and in fact the mask becomes a man. There's an old saying, be careful what you pretend to be, because you become it. Is that the fate of this guy? He pretended to be a scumwad, and that's definitely what he becomes. But is there any hope for him? And maybe there's the punchline or the end of the teaser. You'll see the Sapphire Stopper, which was so important to Jimmy and Kim, and was sort of an in-joke between them. So that tells you, or at least tells me, that even when Saul Goodman was at his lowest, and he's advising Walter White to kill people, he still has the Sapphire Stopper. There's still some soul left in there somewhere. Maybe that's a big part of our story. He still had that Sapphire Stopper. So there's still some soul left in there somewhere. Maybe that's a big part of our story. The last thing I want to go and discuss as well is that they actually hired a dance troupe for the opening scene. In an interview with IndieWire, Episodes 1 cinematographer Marshall Adams shared some details about how the opening scene was created. One of the most notable takeaways from the conversation was that the episode director Michael Morris and assistant director Rich Stickler had the idea to hire a real dance troupe to play the movers for this first scene. Which they rehearsed for an entire day before shooting. This is what Adam shared. Director Michael and our first AD, Rich Stickler, had this idea about using a dance troupe for that sequence. So there's all members of a single dance troupe, and they basically were keeping time. We rehearsed for an entire Sunday, getting all of those shots exactly right before the whole crew came in on Monday, and we started actually doing it. On Monday and Tuesday, they were laid out to the beat, to the moment, just exactly how Michael wanted them. And that is just incredible. So that's some of the information in this interview. There's some more stuff about the episode that I'm going to go ahead and talk about in another video. But it's just amazing that the show is back. Better Call Saul Season 6. And I cannot wait for Episode 3 this Sunday. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.